Hey y'all, today I'm going to show you how you can make your own stone using the product Cementall, which I purchased at Home Depot. I usually buy a 25-pound bag for about $18. Through trial and error, I arrived at that product. It has the finest sand in it, so you won't have any bigger rocks that are lumpy and cause you problem on your stone. I did, however, last time get a bag that had a lot of kind of bigger stones in it or rocks in it, and I was pretty upset about that because I had to use a strainer. But that is the only time that's happened in the 6 months I've been using that product. So what I have here is a cup and a quarter cup, 1 1/4 cup of Cementall, and I put this in a dollar store Ziploc bag. This is a quart bag, or this is a gallon bag, but I think you could, if you were only making one, you could probably do this in a quart bag. One thing to note is that if you can find Ziploc bags that have a corner that aren't gusseted, for the stand-up bags, which is getting a lot harder to find, and you'll see why in a minute. This is just going to make it a little bit easier for us to get the finished cement out. So I've got my purple mold from Happy Dotting Company. These are wonderful. I've used this 800 times and I've really beat the heck out of it. You can see that some of the silicone is busted away, but it still works just fine. So the first step with this is I'm going to take, this is not this particular product, this is just some water with a couple of drops of dishwashing liquid in it, and that's just going to help the bubbles break the surface tension. So I just sprayed it in there in my clean mold, and I do clean these afterward every time because the residue that's left in there can kind of make your rocks wonky. So here is that. I'm just going to dump out the remaining water that's in there because we really just need a tiny bit. Now I've got my slightly wet surfactant spray in there, and I've just kind of swished it around a little bit, make sure that it gets everywhere. I got that tip about the surfactant from a video on the Happy Dotting Company website, which they're obviously awesome. They make all kinds of tools and things for people who like to paint rocks like me. So in my container here, I have 2.5 ounces of water, and I'm going to just open this bag slightly. I'm going to pour that in. I'm going to try to get as much air out of here as I can. And then I'm really going to start using my hands to mix this up. And I want to get all the lumps out. And the reason that we put this in the plastic bag is because the cement will start to set really quickly, and then it's just really hard to work with. So this, if you do this, you still need to do this pretty quickly, but you can usually get the job done. So I'm just gonna, now that I've moved everything around, I'm just gonna try to get a little bit more air out. And even when you think that you've got it all, lay it down flat and make sure that you really got all of those chunks out, because nobody likes a wonky stone, let me tell you. So now it feels like I've gotten just about everything out of here. And I'm getting everything down to the bottom. And then I'm going to take my scissors. I've got my mold all ready to go right here. Again, you do have to work fast when you're doing this. So I just cut the corner off. Just going to pour it in here. And as I'm doing this, I'm just going to kind of tap the mold, because that's going to help some of those bubbles escape. So as I do this, and I usually do 2 at a time. It's just faster for me, and I have 2 molds. That can be a real time saver. But you do have to work pretty fast. So make sure you're keeping an eye on that cement, and you're keeping it moving, and you're keeping the air out of it. So just do this like you're piping macaroons or something. Macarons, I guess. Don't be fancy. And I'm just gonna get this. We don't want to go over this edge of the mold, because then it's going to be kind of a messy cleanup. So I'm just going to toss that in the garbage. Gonna get a damp paper towel. I'm just gonna clean this up a little bit. And I hope you can see on camera that this has plenty of bubbles in it, which is to be expected, but we want to get those out. So I'm just gonna use my scissors to tap on this. And eventually you'll start to see them all pop, or you can pop them with your finger if you want. This is the underside of the stone, so people aren't going to see this, but we want to make sure that all those bubbles have gotten away from the sides, because we want our stone to be perfect and smooth and lovely. Okay, here we go. It's been about 3 hours, and I think we could have actually taken this out sooner. But these do heat up. Cement heats up when it's curing. So if you go down and touch them and they're warm, that's totally normal. You can see that there's still bubbles here, but hopefully the stone itself looks really great. And as I mentioned, if we had over poured this a bit, you'd kind of have a bunch of cement sitting around and it just wouldn't look very nice. So I'm just gonna try to get this out. And there's your stone. You can still see that there's water in there, and after a couple more hours, or probably tomorrow for sure, you'll see that this will be perfectly gray and it's nice and smooth. And these molds have a little dot in the middle, so you know exactly where the center of the stone is. So this one turned out pretty good. I'm not worried about it. There's often some little tiny bubbles on the underside of the stone here. And sometimes if I'm feeling really fussy, I'll fill them with just some spackle, but for the most part I don't. So I just, after this dries completely, probably tomorrow, I would paint it black, mark it up, and then you can start painting it. This is a 9.6 centimeter rock, which is a great size for beginners. The reason that I chose Cementall in particular, there's a lot of things that you can, a lot of materials that you can make these stones out of. Probably the most popular is called Ultra Cal 30. That's what Happy Dotting Company recommends, but that is quite expensive. And if you want to make a lot of stones, you're going to pay quite a bit for it. So after lots of trial and error, Cementall in a plastic bag so it doesn't cure too fast is what works for me. So good luck to you. I hope you have fun